What's going on, everybody? John Eric Poli here with My MMA News, and today's guest just defeated Luvic Sholenyan by a unanimous decision at UFC Vegas 64. Pleased today to be joined by Johnny Muñoz. Johnny, nice to see you again, man. I know we did a interview right before the fight, so it's nice to now do this one post-fight here as well after a great performance. So congrats on the win.
No, thanks, man. I appreciate you for having me back on the show. And yeah, it's always good to do post-fight interviews because when you do post-fight interviews, it's because you won. So obviously, I'm happy about that.
Yeah, man. Well, first off, you're welcome on the program anytime you would like. And now let's get into everything with this fight here. So, when we did the pre fight interview, a lot of what the interview was based off of was your intense training camp where you did a lot of different locations. You trained in your home gym in California, you went to the Tijuana, Mexico, you went out to Las Vegas and trained with Brandon Moreno. So a lot of moving parts there for training camp. When you spend all that time and energy of moving around like that and get this performance like you just had, that was such a great win, a really great showing. Just how good does it feel to be on the back end of this now and be sitting here with a great performance after everything that you went through in training camp?
Yeah, no, it's definitely satisfying. You know what I mean? Because training camp's always hard. I'm always on the road, so that was definitely a motivational factor for me. And I was telling myself, anytime in the fight where if somehow I get tired or it's not going my way, like that's something I got to remind myself. I sacrificed a lot of work to get here, and so I'm not letting it slip out of my hands. I put so much into it. I'm always on the road. Like it's hard. Like I don't. It's hard for me to have relationships with family, friends, just a lot of people. 'Cause it's a very it's a selfish journey, and but you got to be that way uh, to get the results you want. And I feel it paid off. And also, I mean a lot of people were even telling me, oh, he's driving over here. Like, I don't know if that's good. So, like, man, fucking if I lose, then these guys are all gonna be talking shit. So, but it worked out for me. You know what I mean? And I feel like, it's working out for me, and it's gonna keep doing it. So.
Yeah, I was just going to say, is this the plan going forward that this will be your training camp from here on out, that you will utilize all three of those locations?
Yeah, maybe I'll narrow it down. Like, for example, this camp I was using three locations, but like the closer the fight got, it narrowed down to two. And yeah, that's just things I'll do. And then when I'm in Mexico, like I have a place down there, so I'm comfortable. It's not like you know what I mean? So I think that's the main thing is being able to have a residence where you're training. I think it makes things a lot easier. You can prepare your food, you can wash your clothes versus like if you're in a hotel or staying at a friend's house, it's not very comfortable. You know what I mean? So you have all your things there. So that's why the next step is getting a place in Vegas I could be comfortable there as well.
All right, man. Now, with all that being said, let's get into the X's and O's of this fight here. Start with the opening round. And one of the big things that you did right from the get go was with your striking. Everything was so close and so straight. And I love when fighters do that. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's times where people might throw out the wild stuff and it ends up being real exciting, whether it's them knocking somebody out or end up getting knocked out from leaving themselves open. But I love it when I see a fighter like really keep everything straight down the middle and everything tight. And it was just so well disciplined by you. So I guess two-part question with that being said. I guess number one, first off, was that the game plan with the striking to keep everything so tight and straight and right down the pipe? And then number two, just take us through that round too, because it was such a great dominant round for you, and you really were able to set the tempo for the whole entire fight.
Yeah, man. I like to consider myself a technical fighter, so I like to make sure I'm doing everything correctly. You know what I mean? I don't like to telegraph shots. I know it's 100% hard to do. There's going to be some things you maybe do wrong, but for the most part, I feel like I stuck to my plan. I stuck to what I do and throwing my jab right. Like I like throwing my jab to set up my shots, and my right hand was finding its home every time. And yeah, like I'm a big like it's cool to watch like guys throwing down, but I want to see technique. Like I think it's more fun. I feel like I was able to show technical striking, and yeah, I mean, just it really, I was able to do that and control the fight that way. And don't get me wrong, I had to be on my bike the whole entire time on the fight and stay on point because if somehow I got off point, Ludwig's a dangerous guy. It's the UFC. I mean, you always got to be on point. And I feel I was able to do that. And then so yeah, I mean it worked out for me there. And then the second round, you know what I mean? We were in there. I feel like I was able to find success in the first round, and I found my range early. So that's why in the second round I started putting it on a little more, and then I landed. It was a good right hand that rocked him. He went back. I seen his eyes roll back. Some people told me, oh, you should have swarmed on him, which I could have maybe, but I was trying to be patient. You know what I mean? Ludwig's a very durable guy. I've said this before in the past interviews. Never been finished. He's been taking some shots, and he'll give shots back, and he has an iron chin. So it's just one of those things. Like I respected him in that area right there. Didn't want to go all out, blow my wad. So it's a fight. You know what I mean? So you got to be very smart and strategic.
100%. And speaking about strategies, it's funny, like for people like myself, we're sitting there watching the fight on a television. So obviously we get let in on a few different things. One of which was in between that first and second round, Luvic's corner was telling him, hey, you got to wrestle. So obviously we know going on the second round, hey, he's probably going to shoot for a takedown at some point. Eventually, it did happen. It took him about 2 minutes before he actually did shoot in. But when he shot in, man, you were prepared for it. You shut it right down. Just talk about that and how you were able to be able to let him not get into his bread and butter with the grappling there.
Yeah, I felt like the second round he was gonna wrestle. I In that second round, I thought I heard one of the corners say something. I was very alert in the fight. Obviously, I was focused on him, but I was very alert of everything that was going on. Like even what they were shouting out and everything. And so when he did shoot in, like I stuffed it, I felt him. I was like, okay. I think I'm good here. Just shut it down. And I mean, some people were like, "Oh, we should have let him take you down with that." You know, at my ground game, but I'm not gonna give up a takedown. Like screw that. You know what I mean? So I just shut it down, and I was looking to get the back there, but he had my leg, so I was just like, okay, well, let me see what I could do with this. And then we scrambled out. Then I got back to the feet, and I was able to fill him out there. You know, he's a strong dude, and he has a great wrestling credentials. And then from there, I was able to get a takedown on my own. I don't know if it was that round or the third, but that made me feel good too. I was able to take down a guy who's a Ukrainian national champion, and yeah, to show people I can wrestle, man. I've been wrestling my whole life as well. Maybe not in school and there, but I've always had a wrestling coach showing me, so I could wrestle like with these wrestlers. It doesn't matter like what their credentials are.
Yeah, that takedown actually came in the third round. That's what I was going to ask you about next. Just talk about that a little bit, how you were able to go out. Like you were the person taking him down. I know you mentioned this there a little bit. Just talk about that a little bit more. Just kind of that whole aspect of the game and how you're able to be the person that goes out and you're able to grapple. And, a lot of people, I don't think were expecting you to be the one taking him down, like you said.
Yeah, and that's why the third round was going. I knew I was up, but I was like, okay, let me stand out a little more. You know what I mean? So let me get some takedowns to really like put that nail in the coffin. You know what I mean? Do something a little different. So that's when we were up on the fence. I was like, got the takedown, felt them a little bit, and we're just controlling them, riding them. Like I was just reacting how my body was going. Like I wasn't. I was just fighting, thinking like an MMA fighter. I wasn't thinking like a grappler. I was just thinking MMA. And then he gets up, and we're moving again. And then the what's it called? Then the third round, yeah, it was in the third round. So yeah, and then we're moving again. Then he throws like an overhand, and that's when I slipped it and I timed that lower shot, almost like Dominic Cruz like style a little bit, where you cut the leg right there. And that was towards the end of the round. I was able to get some ground control, and I felt there was a little more time I would have finished him, but it's fine. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean it was cool to get those takedowns in there, obviously, and just show uh, that I'm more than just a jiu-jitsu black belt.
And then after that great performance, right, you get that great moment inside the octagon where you get to be interviewed. And I like the statement you made on the microphone there. It was a unique one there. You're pretty much essentially called out. Was it Elon Musk and Twitter? I think you said like make Twitter great again or make tweets great again. Like however you phrase it, it was just what a really cool and unique moment on the microphone. Did you have that plan going in? What was the kind of the messaging behind it there?
Yeah, I mean, I did have it kind of planned because they asked me this at the press conference about all that, you know what I mean? But like I was playing Call of Duty. I don't play video games a lot, but like I don't know, this past weekend I was just, obviously you're thinking about fight week, and the new Call of Duty's out. I was like, man, I want to play this a little bit. You know, it's cool, get your mind off things a little bit, focus. And so I was like, oh, I downloaded the Call of Duty game, played, got on the mic, and you know, people talk shit on the mic. So I was just talking shit on there. And then I was like, I like said the line, like, you know, get in the truck, boys. Like, let's get in the truck, boys. I was like, we're making it, like, I think I said we're making America great again, whatever. And I know anytime you say that, like, it'll raise, like, get people all pissed off, whatever. And then so that's why, like, I was like, I'm gonna say that, like, at the end of the fight. So that's why at the end of the fight, so I was like I said in some stuff in Spanish, obviously, but also I was like, get in the truck, whatever, Elon. And then I even said like Donnie J. I was like, back to make America great again, one tweet at a time. And I got some hate on it a little bit on Twitter, but I don't really give a fuck, man. You know what I mean? It's just I feel like, you know, nowadays, like, people get upset. It's like you should respect other people's beliefs. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like I'm an Elon Musk guy. I'm a Donald Trump guy. You know, Donald Trump, like for me, like, if you ask me, there's a lot of things he did that I don't like. But I think there's a lot of things he did do great for the country of the United States of America. You know what I mean? And I feel like, just like, without getting too much into politics, it's just like, I think people just need to not be afraid to, like, to speak up, whatever, but you just say what they feel. And this is what I felt. And it's how I feel. And I just don't like the direction, like, the country's going in. And it's just my belief. But, like, you don't need to, I don't understand why you're upset with me. And I think it's a weird thing too, because some of the comments I got on Twitter, because I'm Hispanic, I'm Mexican, people can't come at me a certain way. Like, I'm not white, so you can't call me racist. So some of the comments on there is very different. Like, almost like they're trying to figure out, man, like, how can I come at him? He's technically a person of color. You know what I mean? So it was very interesting.
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you what, I've been saying this for a long time too. People really do need to like take a chill pill here and like relax. Like, everybody's allowed to have their own belief system. Nobody's better than anybody. Like, it's time that we all start to kind of, you know, talk and realize that we're not so different after all. And we actually sit down and communicate with one another instead of just moan, groan, bitching, complaining, and saying stuff on social media. But we could get in a whole big long tangent and have a whole half-hour conversation on all of that. I do want to ask you though, before we wrap things up here today, this is normally the part where I would always ask a fighter after win, what's next for you? But for you, you did fight out your UFC contract, and we did talk about this a little bit in our pre-fight interview as well. Now, what I guess is the next step? I'm assuming it is to re-sign with the UFC. I'm guessing after this performance, the UFC would indeed be jumping through hoops to get you back on the roster there. Just explain this whole entire process of what goes on. Obviously, management's involved, the UFC's involved, you're involved. A little bit of a complicated process here of going through the whole entire motions of getting re-signed here.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, what's next? Obviously, it's sitting down, negotiating the next contract. That's what's next. Like, I know some people, oh, when would you like to fight? But I need to handle that first. You know what I mean? So that's in sequence right there. Sit down. What's the contract gonna be? I want to stay fighting for the UFC. I'm not trying to go to Pachanga or fight in Bellator or one. Like, no disrespect to those organizations, but the UFC is where I want to be. And like, some people even told me, "Oh, go to one, whatever." And I was like, I don't really want to fight over there. Like, I like one. I like their platform, what they're doing, but it's just I want to be in the UFC. Like, I like the way they treat me on fight week. Like, the staff there is amazing, and I've never seen that in any other show. Um, so I like fighting for the UFC. But so yeah, I got to get the sit down going, and then from there we get the contract good go, and then book a fight, and then maybe I could fight sometime early next year.
All right, man. Good stuff. I'm sure we'll be seeing you in the UFC and seeing a fight here in the near future. Looking forward when we have that conversation. But for now, just want again, thank you so much for all the time. I'm going to give you the last word here today. Social media, management, sponsors, coaches, teammates, family, friends, whoever you got to give shout outs to. You get the last word. Floor is yours.
Well, I want to give a shout out to you, man, for having me on the show again. Appreciate it. Shout out to your suit. I like it. It's classy. It's original. And yeah, shout out to my management team, Iridium Sports, my team, Sequence, Entrum Gym, my coaches, and everybody that supports me, man. I truly appreciate it. And I got so many messages on Twitter, Instagram. I haven't got back to a lot of them. Text messages, it's just a lot. So it's not that I'm being rude. It's just I'm I'm trying to get back to them slowly. It's a lot. So I truly appreciate everybody, even the people that had negative things to say about me. I appreciate you guys too. I do believe like you're not gonna make everybody happy, and no matter how nice you could be, you're people always gonna say things. But I just want my message is just be you, be real, be true to yourself. And if people judge you, like, it is what it is. It doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're doing whatever it is you're doing for yourself. And it's always good to have positive and negative feedback. Maybe you could learn from the negative feedback, or maybe it is trash. Who knows? But just be you.